Good morning to you, and thank you so much for finding time to be with us today. The show is Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu, and it is a pleasure to have you today, the 21st of June, 2022. I trust that your day has started off well. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're tuned in and watching us this day. We start with the headlines from Kenya. I shall take us through before we get into some of the topics and some of the stories that have been carried out in today's dailies. We start with the Star newspaper. The main headline: Ruto calls crisis talks to reconcile feuding partners. Karua, Kabogo and Kiunjuri kicks off a storm in Kenya Kwanza. Say DP's UDA bullies affiliates and Tam Gashagwa a dictator. The story is on page 4 and 5, and Mudhama says talks could take place as early as today. And up there, Audit unearths a serious tampering with voters' roll in 10 counties. That is on page 6. Sakaja insists to DCI he went to Uganda's Team University. Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja on Monday told DCI investigators that he has a genuine degree from Team University in Uganda. The session that lasted hours was the latest in a saga surrounding his foreign degree. As a qualification to run for Nairobi governor, he had earlier ignored a session with the president of the Commission for University Education to provide proof that he holds a degree. That is on page 3. DP will win in round 1 by 51%. That is according to the latest poll. At least more than half of Kenyans will vote for Deputy President William Ruto if polls were held today. A new poll suggests the poll by the Intel Research Solutions shows that at least 51.2% of voters, largely the youth and low-income earners, say that Ruto and Rigathi Gachagua ticket is their preferred presidential pick. That story is on page 2. Mask up CES orders as virus infections rise. That is on page 2 on the Star newspaper. The Standard newspaper, the main headline: myth of youth vote unmasked. Political parties have raised massive resources to lure the youth to vote on August 9th, but IEBC records show majority of voters are above 35 years, and this could force change of strategy. The story is on page 4, and of course, according to the verified register, the total number of registered voters in the country now stands at 22,120,458. Those are the votes that are up for grabs, which these presidential candidates and other aspirants running for these elective positions must fight for. And 13 million, that is the number of voters aged above 35. That is a significant number there. And 75% of the 47.6 million Kenyans were under the age of 35. That is according to the Kenya Bureau of Statistics 2019 report. I think after the census we had. Back to masks as coronavirus cases increase. Health Ministry says the measures are geared towards preventing hospitalization and deaths like those experienced in 2020 and 2021. The story is on page 3. EAC presidents approve sending soldiers to the Democratic Republic of Congo. That is on page 5. Hard tackles in Ruto's constituency. That is on page 21. Mobile loans threaten saving habit. That is on page 25. And gorgeous Washu hangs boots. I think that is for the Kenya volleyball team. She was the captain for quite a while now, and it appears she has retired. The Daily Nation, the main headline: their pain points. Campaign trail, a Nation Newsplex analysis reveals where William Ruto and Raila Odinga have pitched camp in the last 6 months as the vote hunt in the State House race enters the home stretch. That is on page 12 and 13. And Raila is fighting to protect the Ma vote in Kajiado, Narrow counties that have previously accorded him massive support, while with the Kalenjin Nation vote all but secured, and Ruto has focused his energies on wrestling a piece of the Ma vote pie from Odinga. So you'll find that in that story. Bail us out, Magoha asks private schools over junior high. The government has turned to the private sector to avert a crisis in the already over-enrolled public secondary schools during next year's double intake. Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha yesterday asked parents with children in private primary schools that have junior secondary school sections to keep them there to reduce competition for public secondary schools when grade 7 rolls out in January. I know it's a new syllabus and it has its teething problems, and I think this brings into fore the question which many Kenyans have been asking: how prepared were we, or are we, for this new syllabus? So as I said, it's a new curriculum. So yeah, I guess we'll just wait to see how that will work out when this class will be transiting for junior high next year. But that is on the back page on the Daily Nation. Back to masks. Kenyans told to wear masks in closed, confined spaces as COVID cases surge. That is on page 8. Uhuru hosts high-level talks to end the war in the Democratic Republic of Congo. EAC leaders call for immediate ceasefire. That is on page 10 on the Daily Nation. So that is what we have on the leading newspapers this morning as I wait for my panelists to join. Perhaps I'll just look at the main headline on the Standard newspaper. The youth that a lot of politicians have been banking on, but when you look at the register that has just been cleared and the information thereof, perhaps anybody who is seeking to get the vote from the youth must rethink their strategy, because even in the last voter register, the last process that we had, it was targeting these young people who never bothered really to show up to, to be registered as voters. So there's some level of voter apathy as far as the vote of these under 35 years old are concerned. So the story is on page 4. Let me just bring us the details and we hear what this has to say. The youth will have less say in the outcome of the August 9th general election than their older counterparts after an audit of the voters' register revealed that the numbers have dropped, according to the report released by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Based on the KPMG audit, the number of youth 18 to 34 years registered to vote in 2022 stands at 39.84%, which is a decline of 5.27% from 2017. This means that of the 22,120,448 and 58 voters in the now cleaned register, there are a paltry 8 million youth, an indication that their influence on the ballot will be minimal, considering that several reports show that the group has a low turnout in the elections. The presidential candidates William Ruto of Kenya Kwanza, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya's Raila Odinga, and George Wajakoya of Roots Party have in their campaigns focused on winning over the youth vote across the country. Now, according to the 2019 Population and Housing Census results, 75% of the 47.6 million Kenyans were under the age of 35. The audit has now pricked the youth bubble and could force the presidential candidates to re-engineer their campaign strategy to ensure that focus is tilted towards the more than 13 million voters aged above 35, which accounts for 60% of the voting population. This is very interesting. And further analysis showed that the number of registered female youth voters has declined by 7.75% in the period of 2017 to 2022, while male youth enrollment has declined by 2.89%. The enrollment rate of persons with disabilities stands at 18.94% of the eligible voting population, while registered voters in the diaspora has increased from 4,223 to 10,444, and convicts in prisons increased from 5,182 to 7,483. And I'm just hoping that people who are serving a life sentence and not given this privilege to vote. And I think there's been a conversation around why should we even allow, convicts to vote, because there's a reason why some of these freedoms have been taken away from them. But I think in the new, when NAC came into power and the reforms, the prisons reforms that we've gone through in this country, I think maybe the people who are serving term with lesser charges are allowed to exercise their democratic right, even behind the bars, to elect a person that they would want to lead them. So in the last elections, we had 5,182 convicts that had registered to vote, and right now the number has slightly gone up at 7,483. But now I think the bone of contention is with the young people's vote. 34, between 18 and 34, as I've said, even in the last registration of voters. IEBC even took its time to take this registration centers to the higher learning institutions, because that is where majority of these young people are. And they never bothered. I know a lot of young people who don't have a voter's card, but they're very quick to tell you what is wrong with this country. They're very quick to tell you what is wrong with our politics. They're very quick to tell you what is wrong with our economy and all that thing. Of course, and a lot of these things they talk about, is true, but they don't understand the only way you can make change to have a solution for the poor governance, to have a solution to have a say on who will have a say on what matters to you, who will represent you in Parliament and agitate for your interest. You must vote. You must register as a voter so that whatever you're complaining about, your vote gives you the power, it empowers you to do something about it. If you're a member of Parliament, for instance, my member of Parliament, I could not even. And so these coming elections will give me an opportunity to replace that person that I felt was not serving me well, and maybe try somebody else. And if that somebody else does not live up to what I expect of them, then I will have an opportunity again in the other election to change them. That's how that works. So them complaining so much, and they do, these young people who don't have voters' cards, who didn't bother to go get their voter. And there's so many, I know a good number of them, so sometimes it's very frustrating when you're having these conversations with them and they're complaining, and there's a lot of voter apathy, and they don't see the need. They don't see the need to go get their voters' cards, but they will complain about everything else, and they have so much to say about everything else, and you wonder, okay, fine. If that's how you feel, then it will only make sense for you to go get a voter's card so that you express how you feel by choosing perhaps the person you feel will bring the change that you want as far as legislation is concerned, as far as addressing some of these issues that you were talking about is concerned. But they don't seem to get that. So for them, it's just easier to complain, but what are you going to do about it? If you and others feel they're too good to go queue and vote, I tell you, some of the reasons these young people give, it's quite interesting. And I think from 18 maybe to 22 there, 23, perhaps they still have their parents worrying about them. Maybe they're in college or whatever, so they've not really started experiencing life as we know it. They're still sleeping under under the roof of their parents, and they're still given their allowances and all that. They're still being taken care of. So they don't find the need. Why should I wake up early in the morning, go register as a voter? Why should I wake up early in the morning and go vote? They don't find the need. So maybe as that progresses, and that explains why you see the people over 35 years are the ones who really perhaps understand the essence of why it is important to, participate in this very important civic duty as a citizen of this country, and go take your voter's card, and during the voting day, go vote, because we understand that is how we bring change. Now, okay, fine, I know we have issues with counting of these votes sometimes, but at least when you've played your part, you can talk about what is wrong with this country. When you've played your part, we can complain, we can have a conversation where, it will make sense. But if you don't bother, if you don't have a voter's card, there's certain conversations I'll not even bother to have with you, because I think it is a grown thing to know that you were needed as far as this process is concerned. And that is what grown people do. You should be grown enough to know you have a responsibility to your country. You have a responsibility to put whoever you want to put in that place to represent you. But if you feel it's none of your business, and then whoever comes there fails to do what they're supposed to do, but now it is your business to complain, it does not make any sense. So I think perhaps next time the IEBC should do a better job at sensitizing, creating awareness, so that these young people understand that it is important and their voices matter, and them having this voter's card is very, very important as far as participation and expressing their will in the elections is concerned. So now, according to the just released audited voters report, the youth, of course, as I said, the number is down, and all these leading presidential candidates have really banked on trying to get these votes from the young people in this country. And so maybe as much as that is there, they might have to continue wooing their traditional constituents, and that is the people over 35 years old. But 8 million, as we have seen, which is the number of voters between 18 and 34, I think it is still a significant amount of votes that cannot be overlooked. So if somebody can work hard to get at least half of that, I think they will be on their way to perhaps garnering more votes. I think that is very important. And the KPMG audit indicated that there were 172,929 voters who were deactivated from the register because their ID and passport references do not match with the records of the National Registration Bureau. Okay, so what I'm thinking is, I don't know if that phase is still open, but I think IEBC should start creating this also awareness, so that people can go and recheck, their details. Kenyans should go and recheck the details as we did. So I hope that is still open. I'll try go to check my details, because you might be sitting and waiting to vote on the 9th of August, and without knowing that your name is among these 172,929 voters that were struck out of the voter register. So we have to recheck again our voting details and see if at all that has been affected or not. And also deactivated were 4,757 individuals who had registered more than once with both ID number and passport. Those whose records indicate they were duplicate or blank ID passport references, the deactivated names IEBC Chief Executive Officer Marjan Hussein Marjan said will not be allowed to use the biometric identification during elections to mitigate the risk of the illegitimate voters voting. Now, I don't know if Kenyans don't have the right information, or they're just being cheeky. Because how would you go for the first time, register with your ID, and then you take your time, the next time you go register with your passport, what you're forgetting? They're taking the same fingerprints that this biometric register is taking. Your details still remains. Okay, the details that have been captured, but the biometric still remains. So it shows that you're registered with your ID and you're registered with your passport in different occasions, you're committing fraud. That is an illegality. So you find yourself in a lot of problems. But this number is not very big. It's just 4,757. But in these elections, I think every vote matters. So it is still a significant number. So the deactivated names, IEBC Chief Executive Officer Marjan Hussein Marjan said will not be allowed. So you'll not be allowed to go there. because remember, this time they're not using the physical register. You have to, it's going to be electronic. Yeah, only the picking of the ballot papers and ticking them, marking them will be the physical aspect of that voting. But all other details, your identification will be done electronically. So that has to be in line. So if your name is not in the register, you will not be allowed. If you are among these people that IEBC found that this report found that you violated some of these, rules, then you will not be part of that. So it is interesting. So as I said, 22 million Kenyans, over 22 million Kenyans are set to vote. It will be interesting to see how many of these 22 million will come out, judging from what we've been seeing in the primaries and the by-elections that have happened, that we have experienced an acute voter apathy in some areas in the last 2 years, where we've had numerous by-elections. So it will be interesting to see, will these candidates war the Kenyan voters enough? Will they sell their manifesto? Will they make a lot of these Kenyans leave, the comfort of their beds early in the morning on the 9th of August to go and queue and vote? I think they must have a lot of convincing to do, because as the situation is right now here, not just in Kenya, but around the world. But unfortunately, as you're going through what you're going through, but also we have an election. So a lot of things are at stake. Kenyans right now are not motivated. A lot of Kenyans are just wondering, where will my next meal come from? Can I afford to fuel my car today, going to work and coming back? Can I afford to pay the school fees? Because we know with how COVID has been, the school calendar has been shrunk in a way that parents are really feeling the heat. And so it is too much. And so it will take a lot of convincing by these candidates to, convince Kenyans the reason why they should even bother. So I think as much as this number is up, but also it will be interesting to see how many of these 22 million plus voters that have been registered here in the country will actually bother to wake up in the morning and go vote. And keeping in mind the 8 million voters between 18 and 35, who a lot of them really, I don't really think it matters. And some of them will be voting for the first time, so that is a good thing. And so maybe they'll be excited to go cast their votes for the first time. But I think a lot of them are feeling as though they're wondering who is speaking my language here, who is really up to solving some of these things and addressing some of these issues I'm experiencing as a young person. So I think with this voters report and this analysis from KPMG, I think this offers now these candidates something to work with. So they know, the smart ones will now try to strategize around this analysis and this report and see how can they utilize it to ensure that some of these issues that have come up, they're actually able to speak to the electorate and convince them how perhaps they will offer a solution or something like that. Okay, so I'm joined at this point by Douglas Kirimi from Nairobi. Douglas, a very good morning to you. Douglas, good morning.
A very good morning to you, Miriam Ogutu.
Okay, thank you for joining us. So I was just looking at quickly the audit report, and that was now it's clean now. It has been sanitized, and so they've removed a number of people who had deactivated some voters who had registered maybe using their ID and using the passports at the same time, and also the people who had registered twice. So they've cleaned up the vote, and right now we have 22,120,458 registered voters in the country. And perhaps the question that I would pose to you, and the conversation that I was having before you joined, out of this and what we've been seeing and the voter apathy that we've seen in the recent by-elections, I don't know, is it too early or maybe to project maybe how many of these 22 plus million voters will even bother to go cast their votes on in August?
Thank you, Miriam. I think you are right on that. You can be able to get to a conclusive end on the same matter, because at the end of the day, if politicians, including the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, William Ruto, could not get people to register en masse, not get people to get out during the by-elections and vote. And the highest, I think, number of voters that were recorded in the by-elections were about 30 to 40% of the voters that were registered as of 2017 that particular in those particular regions. If it has not happened in the recent past, I don't think in the next 40 days, Miriam, there's a miracle that is going to be performed for the voters, for the over 22 million voters to go out there and be able to vote and decide the destiny of our country. From my analysis, I think about 10 million or less than 12 million voters will get out and vote, because if you look at the voter apathy in the recent past and also registration of as voters that has also been experienced, especially among the youngest voters. People or politicians seeking public office have been advised also to go out and who the older vote or the older generation of voters, because they are the highest, and young people have no voters card. It is your right to get out there and vote and decide the destiny of your nation. As a younger person, you cannot be able to question your government, you cannot be able to question your leadership if you do not participate in the democratic process of determining those leaders, especially now that the electioneering period is coming to an end in the next 50 days to less than 50 days. We need to be able to have gotten the voters card so that you can be able to participate in electing the next president of the Republic of Kenya, the next ward representative, the next member of parliament, and the next governor of your county. And man that is going, or a woman that is going to manage the resources of your county, maybe develop it or root your coffers dry. The choice is with you, but the choice is not with you because you have democratically chosen to stay away from this election. But if you have a voter's card, you're going to determine the voter your preference at the ballot as a voter and also as a democratic, as a citizen of a democratic country called the Republic of Kenya. Thank you, Miriam.
Okay. Now, it's very interesting because in the last elections, the number of women voters has always been high, but there has been some slight change as the drop in female especially the youth vote is by 7.75%. So the total percentage of the women voters in the country is at 49.12%, and the men voters is 50.88%. Is there any way we can explain this kind of change?
I haven't gotten the last part of your question.
I'm saying, I think for a long time, and we've always, this has always been an argument in Kenya. We have so many women, voters. How is it that we can't elect, our women leaders and things like that? But according to these new figures, the women voters stands at 49.12%, and the male voters stands at 50.88%. So the male voters are more this time compared to the women. What do you think could have advised this fall of women voters in the country?
Thank you, Miriam. That is very interesting because everyone is even advising politicians across the country that focus on the women vote, focus on women. Women are the real voters. Women are the people that show up for you. Women are the people that are going to back your cause and you're going to win. But according to the latest report or the latest statistics, it shows that women have not gotten out of their way to register. Women are also shunning away from this election, and women are not participating in this election the way they are supposed to. But compared to the number of people that are going to vote, many men are not going to vote. It is women that are going to show up. It is women that are going to vote. it is women that are going to determine the next course of action, the course of leadership in this country, Miriam. I also believe that it is about time women, it is about time we emphasized the need for women to come out in large numbers, because we have always believed there is a myth. I don't believe it is statistical to say that women are the biggest number in this country, that they can be able to determine a course and also be able to back a woman leader in this country. But also they have an opportunity of sending Mother Karua to the deputy president's residence at Karen as the next deputy president, or the first woman deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. That now can be able to set the center stage for the presidency, where we can have a woman president of the Republic of Kenya, a governor. We've had governors who have been elected. The late Dr. Joyce Raboso, Anne Waiguru of Kirinyaga, Charity Ngiru of Kitui, and we have also budding young women, or women who are running as governors, senators across the nation, MCAs and all that. We've also had an opportunity to have participated in actualizing the affirmative action seat that is the woman representative in every county for the last 10 years. And we have seen immense development and also leadership that these women have been able to prove that truly women can lead, and women have an opportunity of also setting the agenda of their own country. I believe, Miriam, the next dispensation of this country, the next place of leadership for this country should be set by women in this country. We have always been told that women are very loyal. Women can be able to back a cause. This time round, they have an opportunity to do so in the person of Mother Karua. In the next dispensation, another woman can come out and run for president. Not necessarily if they have the resources to do so. Women can back one of their own and take the leadership of this country. At least out of the very many presidents we have had, at least 4 now, and the next one, we can be able to say that this country has been led by a woman, and this is the kind of a leadership that a woman can be able to bring to a nation. Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So I want us to divert just a little bit from politics and look at some developmental agenda and some things that have been happening that perhaps Kenyans will be wanting to hear right now, because we know, the focus, knowing that we're going to an election, so the focus has been so much on, elections and who are we voting for and all that. But the things that are happening that I think we should bring to the attention of Kenyans. A water agency signs 15.9 billion Kenya shillings to deal to build projects in 23 counties. Central Rift Valley Water Works Development Agency CEO Engineer Samuel Oruma says water resources in the country are not evenly distributed, and the projects are envisaged to close the gap and achieve the right to clean and safe water for all. The Central Rift Valley Water Works Development Agency has inked a 15.92 billion deal with the African Development Bank to construct 25 water and sanitation projects in 23 counties as a key enabler of the Big Four agenda. The bank in 2016 approved $391 million to help finance a major water and sanitation projects under the Kenya Town Sustainable Water Supply and Sanitation Program to spur sustainable economic growth and social development in the country. So one thing that this agency has recognized, we don't have evenly distributed water in the country. Even here in Nairobi, there are estates where they have a 24-hour supply of water. We never experience any problem. And there are parts of this county that only have water in their taps, maybe once a week or twice a week. The rest of the times, they have these cartels selling them water, I don't know from where. So that has been something a mystery that has not been able to be solved. So it is interesting. But they're saying now this project will target 23 counties, and we know even in the areas where we see a lot of these insecurities, there's usually a fight for pasture and water, which is not even available. People have to walk kilometers upon kilometers to get a hold of this. So in line with supporting the Big Four agenda, but having the equal distribution of water in these 23 counties, and I'm sure a lot of them are from these arid and semi-arid areas, how will this help in fighting the issue of treatable diseases, the ones that spread for lack of hygiene? And because how can you be hygienic if you don't have the water in the first place? But also to ensure a healthy Kenyans, and also to ensure that maybe part of these insecurities that are brought about by the scarcity of water will address partly the issue of insecurity that we see and health issues.
Thank you, Miriam. I think in this country, you've clearly said that, including in the capital city of the Republic of Kenya, there are people who have water to infinity, if I may use that word in quote, but there are places like Easterns and other places that are unequal in terms of water distribution and how they access water. A person in a slum without a job, with a small young family, is charged 20 shillings, 20 shillings, Kenya shillings, to be able to access 20 liters of water, 1 liter per 1 shilling. And also, outside the capital, there are people in this country who have not had an access to water for the last 1 week. That means they have not showered, they have not drunk clean water, and there are women and children who do not access education and do not go to school because their mothers and children wake up very early in the morning before dawn to go and also fetch water and bring it to their villages or manyatas across the country. For us as a country to be able to move forward, address the issue of insecurity, diseases, and also be able to make sure that our country is healthy, prosperous, and a country that is truly set on a path of development, we need to be able to equalize the population that accesses clean and drinkable water. And for us to be able to achieve that as a country, we will address if we are able to achieve that, we can be able to address the issue of insecurity as a country, and also we can be able to address malnutrition that is causing a lot of deaths across the nation. We can be able to make sure that our mortality rates go higher because water contributes to also the growth of a baby and how that baby grows, because we do not get, we cannot wrap our minds that in 21st century, in 2022, that there is a Kenyan family somewhere with the food but no clean water to cook that food. There is a family in this country that cannot go to school because the mother cannot take the young kid to school, and because the mother needs to wake up and go and look for water. So water, I believe, until we sort out that issue of water in this country, water should be declared a national security disaster. Because, Miriam, there are places in this country, especially where I come from, where people have access to water, they can farm bananas with, they can farm whatever they want to farm with, but there are also places in this county where I come from where they have never seen a drop of water. If a borehole is sunk by donor organizations, by county government or national government, they celebrate, and which they're supposed to have been their right. And that brings inequality. There are places in Meru Town and where they do not track clean water. There are places in Meru Town where people have not seen a drop of water in about a whole year, in about a whole month. Then they're waiting for another shift next month for them to fetch water that can take them a whole month. And Miriam, we need to be able to address those issues. If we do not address the issue of water in this country, we cannot be able to address the issue of food security properly. We cannot be able to address the issue of security as a country, and we cannot be able to now claim that our country needs roads, our country needs airports, our country needs. We cannot be able to build a country on brick and mortar. We have to also build a 360 or a total welfare of a person, take care of the total welfare of a person if our government or our country will go forward. But I also believe from the bottom of my heart that the government is doing everything that they can to be true address those issues.
Okay.
For example, over a year ago, address the issue of water in Nairobi, where the president, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, and they dug well and made clean drinking water accessible to some people that could access that at $20 or more. But these people get that water for free, and their roads are accessible because water has been able to get to them. The crime rates have gone down, and also children can go to school. Children can also find something to eat because there is water to cook food that is ready, that is already at their house. And also, children can now be able to enjoy a life without diseases. They cannot, their mother's money that they have been setting aside to take their children to school because of taking dirty water, those monies now can be used to other developmental purposes in their small household, and thus increasing development in our country and also contributing to the growth of our nation and our country, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And indeed, whoever who said water is life knew what they were saying, because a lot of our lives, aspects of our lives, is centered along water. If every Kenyan or majority of us can have access to clean water, I think it will go a long way in reducing the number of people who are going to hospitals with some of these avoidable diseases brought about by lack of proper hygiene because they don't have the water. And also it will solve the issue of food insecurity. We can start irrigating and things like that. And so it all ties down there. So I think the more we are able to address the issue of lack of water, the better we'll be able to address other issues related to that. Okay, let's move on to another thing in line with, I guess, the Big Four agenda. And the mega infrastructure projects implemented by the government have been hailed as transformative in the making the port of Mombasa the most efficient and modern facility in the region. Mombasa Port being the gateway for landlocked countries such as Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi and South Sudan, has in the recent years witnessed major improvement through multi-billion infrastructural, technology and modern equipment investment to continue tapping business for the hinterland and neighboring countries. Key among the multi-billion shilling projects which seek to reinforce the country's economic development is the 32 billion Kenya shillings phase 2 of the second container terminal, the 40 billion Kenya shillings Kipevu oil terminal and 1 billion Kenya shillings cruise ship terminal, which have been completed. Kenya Ports Authority has also constructed 2 billion Kenya shillings 1.2 kilometer 6-lane concrete Kipevu road to facilitate the speedy evacuation of the sea cargo from the port of facility. The infrastructural improvement under the Mombasa Port Development Program initiative has seen the construction of 500 million Kenya shillings modern tag jetty at the marine dockyard, which is crucial for port operations. The new port infrastructure developments are envisaged to firmly consolidate the new era of the port as a critical transport and logistics hub in the region. And I know we've had this conversation before, but a lot of these projects are coming to completion, so that is a good thing. So how will this transform, especially the coastal region, which we know that a lot of their economic activities are attached to the Indian Ocean and the port? The expansion of this, how will this make the services at the port efficient and timely, and having a 24-hour economy around that area? Will this finally become a reality with the modernization of this port and these other projects that are surrounded there?
Thank you, Miriam. We cannot talk about Mombasa without talking about our famous, in quote, Ndongo-Kudu bypass and the Makupa Bridge, the new housing, Baraton housing projects that have been able to be set up. The projects are ongoing, and also the infrastructure, expansion of infrastructure around town and across the city of Mombasa, and the many jobs that are going to be created by the expansion of these facilities at the port of Mombasa, and also the capacity of the port to be able to receive more cargo, and also in turn creating job opportunities for young people, creating business for Kenyan business people that have been stranded before. And the backlog at the port of Mombasa will also be eased, and in turn we are going to have a country that is going to progress well and also grow. If our economy as a people grows from the coastal city of Mombasa, we will experience true transformation as envisaged by the people of Kenya, a prosperous nation where we create jobs, there's business, there's also an expanded port. It also brings the issue of the backlog at the port of Mombasa. You can be able to clear your goods from the port of Mombasa efficiently and timely, and also make sure that at the end of the day, we, the people of Kenya, benefit from that, because there's more foreign exchange that occurs between us and the trading partners, all the countries that trade with us, especially through the port of Mombasa. This is truly transformative, and around that, those development and also the facilities was being able to be set up by the port of Mombasa and to the coastal city of Mombasa. It brings more business, especially for the booming tourist industry, and especially again for local tourism, people that will be going to Mombasa to clear goods, and also companies that are going to be clearing the same from the port of Mombasa are going now to enjoy more of our local tourism, and also create more opportunities, create an expanded economy, and also on economy, we are going to also improve.
Okay.
And be with other countries medium.
All right. Of course, the port expansion projects seek to transform Mombasa Port, the gateway to East and Central Africa, into the most efficient, competitive, modern and safe port in Africa. The port expansion works are part of plans to transform Mombasa Port into the region's transport and trade hub, besides improving its efficiency and giving it a competitive edge. And the overall objective is to make the Port of Mombasa a classic facility, achieve high productivity, and guarantee efficient cargo freight services to importers and exporters. That is according to Dr. Karanja Kibicho, who is the Principal Secretary for Interior Coordination of National Government. And we know that Dr. Kibicho also is the chairman of the National Development Implementation Technical Committee. So when you see him in all these areas, people wonder, I mean, he's always all over the place. That is because he is the chair that I think oversees, especially the implementation of the Big Four agenda. And that's why you find him talking about a lot of these developmental agendas under President Uhuru Kenyatta's government. All right, let's now switch some focus. And the African Public Service Day, did you know it starts today? I knew that because I saw a billboard on my way to work. There's a billboard I see that has had the image of President Uhuru Kenyatta, and that has been advertising and creating awareness around this day. Now, Kenya will mark this year's Africa Public Service Day by reflecting on the transformation that has taken place across the public service sector in the last 10 years. The celebration slated for June 21st, that is today, to June 23rd, will be held under the theme Celebrating Public Service Transformation, 10-year journey and beyond at the Kenyatta International Convention Center. This theme is premised on the government aspirations to improve the administrative systems to better serve the needs of the citizenry. The African Public Service Day is an event entrenched in the African Union calendar. Funny that a lot of us are in this continent, but we've never heard of this, but it is there in the African Union calendar. So African Union should do a better job at selling this day. It originates from the Conference of African Ministers for Public or Civil Service held in Tangiers, Morocco in 1994, where it was agreed at this conference that 23rd June be celebrated annually as Africa Public Service Day to recognize the value and virtue of service to the community. So let's just bring that back to the country, Douglas. I know every time even Kenyans are having a conversation and maybe you're sluggish in what you're doing, someone will make a joke, but it's not really a joke. Why are you delivering your service as if you're a public servant? Because there has been say that maybe they lack motivation and things like that, and the manner in which they deliver public service, they, not maybe as efficient, because at the end of the day, the salary is guaranteed through the taxes that we pay. And that, I don't know, how do you think that narrative has changed from, say, 10 years ago to now, as we're celebrating a 10-year journey? I don't know if you found yourself in a public office seeking for these services. And even as we talk about this, let's bring the issue of Huduma number and e-citizen, which I really thank God for whoever who sat down and thought this was a good idea, because I think it has really transformed the public service. But how from where you sit, this narrative of public servants perhaps are not the best as far as when you go to seeking for public service in these offices, and some of the changes that have been effected in the public service to address some of this kind of narrative and others in the aim of improving efficiency as far as public service is concerned?
Thank you, Miriam. Truly, public service, especially in our country, has been able to get through a tremendous change, and we have also seen a change in attitude for the public servants across the country, and especially in accessing government facilities and also services. You've routed the Huduma services and Huduma centers, where access to government services is efficient, timely, and also affordable. Remember before, Miriam, if you could get to any government office, you have to also call for a lot of money to drive people around. But these things are now digitized, so you can be able to file for your own returns online. You can be able to now access business registration services, company registration services. You can be able to access any service that you need from government, majority of them through a digital platform without exchanging money with anybody. Because before, if you're supposed to pay for a passport manually, they would tell you you need to top up with 2,000 Kenya shillings to be able to now access your passport, which now costs around 5,000 or 4,500. You now part with more 2,000, and then that makes it around 6,500. And that money you've corrupted your way can now no longer be sent through the manual way or the cash office. Remember, it is the same. It is under the same strength that the Nairobi County also digitized their parking services, and the cash office that used to siphon millions of shillings now collects millions of shillings every day that could not be have been accounted before. And that also brings us to the question of have we been able to do better, or can we improve? As we even seek to improve, we need to also around public officials. For example, before you could not even access a minister, government official, you could not access a PF, you could not be able to get them to talk to you or maybe talk to discuss your issues. Before you could book an appointment with the county commissioner, or you could book an appointment with a DCC or an ACC, or even a chief before, it was very difficult. But nowadays, they even have set official days where they meet the public or come, or first they come, first they serve the basis. And if today you can get your county commissioner on WhatsApp, you can be able to WhatsApp them your issues. They can be able to give you an audience. They can be able to talk to you nicely without being rude and also being corrupt. So Miriam, if for example, if you want to meet Dr. Karanja Kebicho, Engineer Karanja Kebicho, you can be able to meet him and discuss your issues openly, or you can be able to air your grievances over social media. Then he can respond himself, or officials from his ministry can be able to respond. You can be able to get a minister to act on your issue. You can be able to get people act in their capacity as public servants without entrenching corruption like we had 10 years ago. And as a country, we've been able to make tremendous changes that we can be able to now advocate for more improvements, and as we round them, we can be able to now look into the future and see what we can be able to improve, what best practices we can be able to adopt, and all that, especially on digitalization of everything that we have seen. The government undertake massive projects on the same, especially the Addis as a platform for the RAND in this country. We know RAND is very contentious. Now you can be able to book, to log into a portal where your details are attached, your title deeds, and all that you can be able to transact to some extent in this country, a RAND transaction online without meeting a corrupt RAND's official officer who is going to ask for bribes and kickbacks for them to be able to do a public duty to you, service and industry to the people of Kenya without a bribe or a kickback because we pay them our taxes. And also we've seen a change in behavior. Before we used to see public officials who are not committed to their work. When you got employed into the public service before, it was a ticket to greater heights and also Varsity and also pensions and also loans and all that. But service and industry to the people of Kenya or the African people was not their core business. Today we see people that are motivated to work because even these jobs are not coming by Miriam. So we see people that are motivated, people that can be able to deliver services, people that have given tremendous growth even to the industry and service of the people of Kenya, especially in public service.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. So this day, the African Public Service Day in Kenya, specifically the day seeks to provide a platform for public servants to showcase and reward innovative initiatives, achievements, and their positive contribution to the social economic development. Similarly, the government will use the day to motivate and encourage public servants to come up with new initiatives and innovations. Public servants will obtain feedback from the citizenry on services rendered and avail an opportunity for public servants to promote values such as professionalism, accountability, responsiveness, ethics, and performance in the delivery of public services. And if I was to be asked, perhaps who should get the top award for this year in line with the innovation and other and transformation that we've seen, the DCI Communications Department and how they have been able to captivate Kenyans in the manner in which they give out the information, and they have given the DCI a human face where Kenyans are finding it easy now even to report some of these things and to share. So they've taken advantage of the availability of these social media platforms, and they're using it and speaking it in a language that it's very effective, because you can tell by the manner, how many people even interact with the DCI page on Twitter and on Facebook. So if I was to be asked who should be given this award for innovation, I think it will go to the DCI Communications Department. I don't know what you make of that.
Thank you, Miriam. I also believe, as we also route the DCI for the tremendous changes they have been able to bring to their office. Remember, before you could not even miss the DCI reader, the Director General of DCI himself, whose the current office owner name is George Kinoti. Before, I think we had an attitude that the DCI himself is a government by himself. We could not meet him. I have never, actually, there was a DCI leader, Kanyotu, whose photograph did not even appear for so many years, and he was the spy chief in this country. And if the leader of the special branch those years could not even appear in public, or people could not even spot him in public, but Kinoti has also been able to bring innovation on how we see public officers and also offices.
Douglas, I don't know where you are, because your communication has a bit of a background noise, so it's really interfering with the quality of your audio. It's not very clear. I'm afraid if you can get a clearer location, we can we can continue with this conversation because the background noise is really interfering. So as I said, we apologize for that. The celebrations of the African Public Service Day starts today, 21st, and of course the actual date is on 23rd, and that was entrenched in the African Union calendar. Yes, it's clearer now. Go ahead.
I was saying public officials in this era or in recent past have also been able to demystify their offices, especially DCI Director General himself, George Kinoti, and the President of the Republic of Kenya, a man that opened his state house to people, young people, dreams of young people have been able to be renewed, and also the hope of the people of Kenya that a public officer can work for their public good. And also, Miriam, the Ministry of Devolution and the Ministry of the Devolution, where Anne Waiguru was the minister when they brought Uduma centers and the innovation that they brought to the NYS. When they revamped NYS, though it was rocked in scandals, Miriam, I believe they prepared the NYS people cohorts to they prepared them for greatness. They also coined a slogan that was written on their t-shirts that says "Prepared for Greatness," and the innovation that they brought to Duma centers and everything thereabout under the leadership of President of the Republic of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the innovation that was brought in Ministry of Lands and also KRA. Digitalization of KRA, everything there about Miriam. We round our leaders, especially people that have demystified public offices and also people that have been committed to making sure that this country delivers services to the people of Kenya and also in that way to us as taxpayers in this country, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. So, the government has initiated the process of developing a youth development bill to enshrine existing youth development policies and other frameworks into law in order to effectively streamline youth empowerment initiatives in the country. Principal Secretary in the State Department of Youth Affairs, Mr. Charles Sunkuli, said the new bill will operationalize Article 55, which obligates the state to take measures such as developing affirmative action programs to ensure that the youth can access relevant education and training, are protected from harmful cultural practices and exploitation, and have opportunities to associate, be represented, and participate in political, social, economic, and spheres of life and access employment. Mr. Sukuli, who was addressing a workshop to develop the new bill in Naivasha, said the legislation will seek to seal the loopholes which hinder the implementation and institutionalization of youth issues as espoused under the new constitution. For a variety of reasons, the optimal results of youth mainstreaming have not been realized. The main reason is a lack of proper legal instruments to guide and entrench the necessary processes and funding mechanisms to ensure that all ministries, departments, and agencies and counties implement and adequately report their youth mainstreaming achievements. I think we had, I don't know if we still have, we had a whole youth ministry, and it's very hard to even say what this ministry has achieved, but there seems to be now an attempt, a deliberate attempt to enshrine some of these things affecting our people into the Constitution, as far as the development policies and frameworks that will guide even some of these initiatives that we see into law, so that our people are protected, and this legislation will streamline youth empowerment programs. Naona hizi tunasikianga kazi kwa vijana nini and these others, and sometimes you can't even account for where has that money gone, what is the framework, and what is the timeline and things like that. There's not been structures in place to properly ensure that these initiatives are done in a structural manner that also ensures accountability and assures effectiveness of this program. So now that will be put into legislation. So how will that change the response to some of these things that affect our young people in the country?
Thank you, Miriam. If the government brings to the fore the issues that they want to put out there, create structures and create frameworks, it means that they are going to be effective in delivering the youth mandate, or maybe solving the problems that be there for the young people in this country, and also make sure that as a government they are committed. They have a timeline. They have something that is enshrined in their constitution, and also something that they can be able, something that a minister or an assistant minister or a PS in the Ministry of Youth can and youths can be able to wake up in the morning and be able to act upon. And also it puts in ink and paper the accountability structures and also accountability measures, such that if something has not been delivered to the young people, if we're supposed to have money or programs that are addressing the youth issues in this country, we can be able now to be able to hold the minister accountable. We can be able to hold the PS, Permanent Secretary for Youth. We can be able to hold for youth. We can be able to hold him accountable or accountable for the issues that concern the young people. And I believe from the bottom of my heart that this is the right direction. This is the right issue that should be. This is the right frame that we should be able to address issues, or a pedestal that we should be able to address issues that affect the youth in this country. Because, Miriam, if we have accountability structures, we have a framework on how to work out particular issues. For example, a program is brought, very nice program to alleviate problems in the immediate, for the immediate needs of young people, like the Kazi Mtaani for young people, and it's just that it disappears, appears again, disappears. But if we have a framework on how we can do these empowerment programs, we know that the government this year is going to incorporate around 500,000 youths, 200,000 young people, train them on financial literacy, help them access grants through the youth fund, and if they are young women, they can access it through the Women Enterprise Fund and all that. If we have a framework for, we can now be able to, number one, account for what the ministry is supposed to do, and even young people can have an opportunity to get the government to act before and on their behalf and for their welfare and their public good as citizens of this country, Miriam. Now, the issue of forgotten youth is going to come to an end, and it is going to come to an end with a framework and also accountability structures that ensures the interests are taken care of. Thank you.
Okay, and still sticking to the young people, like I said, we divided just a little bit from politics, and because they also have important things, I'm sure. These are some of the things that Kenyans would like to know that is happening in line with the youth and all that and all these other things, so that some of these opportunities Kenyans don't even know exist. Okay, so it's important to just create awareness around that, even as we look at President Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy, with just a couple of days to go before he hands over to the next leader of the country. As we know, President Uhuru Kenyatta is serving his second and last term as the President of the Republic of Kenya, and he's been working overtime to see that some of his legacy projects becomes a reality. And the Kenya Film Commission, KFC, will soon launch an e-film shop to enable filmmakers to access all government services and their filming needs, like licenses, in one only platform, online platform. Speaking to MyGov, the Commission CEO, Mr. Timothy Owase, revealed the e-film platform will enable filmmakers to seek permits from the Commission to do filming, acquire drones for filming in protected areas like national parks from the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, and apply for permits from the Kenya Film Classification Board, KFCB, and the Kenya Wildlife Services, Yes, Owase further said that the e-film is one-stop shop whose main purpose is to streamline the filmmaking process by assisting stakeholders to get access to filmmaking licenses, locations and services such as county government assistance more and effectively and efficiently. And sometimes when I look at programs and films and all that have been made in countries like South Africa, which I think their quality is really top notch, or we see how the film industry has really, really developed in Nigeria, and how much even the citizens from those countries are supporting their own production. And in Kenya, we are always making noise about the quality of some of the entertainment content that is produced. But with the government making such an initiative, because when I look at like countries like South Africa, Nigeria, and how much the entertainment industry, the local entertainment industry has grown, I ask myself, why is it? What is the reason why Kenyan industry and entertainment industry cannot grow to such lengths? Because I feel like Kenyan entertainment industry has a lot of potential, especially the film sector has a lot of potential. And so with such initiatives, do you think this will encourage more creative minds to enter into this platform, and this might spur a bit of growth? Because we know it has a potential even to provide employment to a lot of creative geniuses we have in this country. Douglas.
Thank you, Miriam. I believe in this country that the young people have huge potential for growth in terms of their creative industry, creative ideas, and how they can be able to sustain themselves given an opportunity. I also believe that there's also going to an issue of markets, because Miriam, I've seen bad done in Nigeria that have been there by them.
Okay, Douglas, I don't know where you are because your connection is not the best. We don't have the consistency. Are you able to speak?
Yes. Is the connection restored?
It's really, just go ahead, we're here.
So Miriam, I'm saying that if the government puts up that portal that can be able to now market the issues, the creative ideas that our young people have, and the creative industry in this country, we can be able to now focus on maximizing that portal and making sure that our people can be able to bring their ideas to the fore, and also be able to now expand on those opportunities for the young people. Remember, there are countries like South Sudan and others who have also been able to put their country's top talent and developing talents to the world to see. And Miriam, there is nobody that cannot invest in a good idea, a profitable idea for the case of business people, if it is brought out there and people can be able to see that these people can be able to, number one, express their ideas, and also make sure that they have also put themselves out there. So I believe it's the right step in the right direction to be able to project the ideas of our young people, their creative sides, so that we can be able to market them now. Our next big ambition is to also make sure that if the government takes a delegation, let's say to Dubai, to UAE, to America, or any other country, we can now be able to also bring along these young people and also be able to market the ideas in their different chamber of commerce and any other organization that can be able to be of benefit to them and expose them. Because Miriam, an exposure for these young talents can bring a lot of talent. There's a young actor, I think he is in his 30s or early 40s. His name is Edgar Vegi. He was acting in the country and nobody could see him. Today he's a big a star in Hollywood today. because of the little exposure that he got and went to the US, or maybe worked with the best producers in the world, his huge potential has been able to be accomplished because he was able to bring out the talent that they have. So I believe that this e-film one-stop shop is going to also showcase what we, the people of Kenya, can be able to do, and also can the government do more than setting up a photo? Can they invest and make sure that we have been able to produce the best of the best and be able to market it from there? Then our young people can be able to benefit from their own talent, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. As we conclude, there is a case that has been ongoing in line with stolen public funds, or rather a public servant who cannot account for so much of the wealth that he has accumulated that does not match his paycheck and his tax bracket. So there will be an ease in paradise for an assistant director for valuation at the Ministry of Lands after the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission obtained orders freezing his assets worth 1.2 billion Kenya shillings. High Court Judge Esther Maina issued the order stopping Nicholas Ochiel, his wife Terry Muthoni, his brother Richard Omondi, and their two companies from dealing with the properties spread across Nairobi, Kisumu, Siaya, Kajiado until the suit by EAC is concluded. Pending the hearing, the determination of the application, the court issues an order restraining the respondents, their agents, servants, or any other persons from selling, transferring, charging, leasing, or any other way alienating the listed properties, Justice Maina has said. The 17 properties registered in Mr. Ochiel's name frozen by the judge include a house in Karen worth 80 million Kenya shillings, an undeveloped land in Parklands worth 100 million Kenya shillings, and a commercial building in Ugunja town, Siaya County, valued at 190 million Kenya shillings. Others are two apartment blocks in Lolwe Estate in Kisumu. And it continues, and his wife Muthoni had 4 properties frozen that include an apartment block in Thome Estate valued at 130 million Kenya shillings, a 5-bedroom house in Mirema Estate in Nairobi worth 23 million Kenya shillings, 5 acres in Kisumu and half an acre in Nairobi. And Justice Maina also stopped the couple from disposing of their vehicles valued at 10.5 million and another piece of land in Nairobi registered in the company's name. What I want to see is how much his salary actually is, how much is paid. But even as I look for that in this story, Douglas, this issue of lifestyle audit as far as public servants is concerned, this is something that we have to get serious with it.
Thank you, Miriam. The issue of lifestyle audit in this country is one issue that the President of the Republic of Kenya said that should have started with him, but so many people politicized it in the process. But I also think that as a country, we are not even ready for an economic takeoff if we keep taking these people to court and also issuing orders to be able to stop a sale on a property, put a caveat on the same, take a corrupt official or in government to some office, to some court, then in the evening they are released and they go home to enjoy their route. Miriam, a time has to come in this country where we deal with the corruption decisively, deal with the corruption the way we can, so that we can be able to save this country from this menace. Miriam, this person is not the last or the first person to have stolen public funds or misused their office and gotten scot-free. Miriam, I'm assuring you in the next 2 years, if things remain the same, if things remain constant, we are not going to have an opportunity to have a corruption-free country if these people continue getting scot-free. If you get to court today, I was discussing with someone the other day, and last night actually, they told me that they can steal up to 100 million, then use around 10 million to fight around the courts, and then use 90 million as profit. Corruption has become the easiest way to make money in this country. Corruption has become the easiest way for you to be able to make it in life, and especially in this country. We need to be able to come to a conclusive end as a country that we should empower the anti-corruption courts in our judiciary and also maybe do something into our constitution, Miriam. because these orders that are given by these courts sometimes are not even effective in taming corruption in this country, Miriam. The same orders that have been given or issued are going to be set aside, and that person is going to enjoy their root for so many years, die without getting brought to justice. We need to also bring issues like this when we are talking about constitutional changes. And I think Kenyans took advantage of BBI and called it an elite or an executive expansion plan or a business, that they forgot that corruption issues were to be dealt with in less than 1 year or less than 2 years. There are cases of corruption that the owners of those cases have died 20 or 30 years ago. Those cases have never concluded in a court of law. To know that truly this person rooted public funds, to know that this person truly rooted or preferred public coffers, to know that this person truly holds a clean bill of health properties, or clean or dirty properties that should be taken back by government, and those properties get to the right owners. Miriam, if you look at the issue of that young person or older person that took that money, and look at the issue of Kimorera and Arod, look at the issues of Itare, and look at the issues that surround major projects in this country, there are so many corruption cases that have not been able to be concluded. And I believe, Miriam, that we need to also bring constitutional changes such that if you occupy public office, if you are a business trading with big government or any other way, we can be able to now declare our assets, not only public officials, even private people, private business people. There are so many people with unexplained wealth. There are so many people out there who have also preferred public resources, money that was meant to build schools for young children in Northeastern, money that was meant to build schools for young children in Turkana, has been preferred by one person, buying choppers, building hotels, and campaigning to be president, or maybe campaigning for a presidential candidate to get a more powerful position to continue preferring public resources and stealing, aided by stolen public funds. We need to get to the root cause of these issues, such that if you are caught by a EACC that you have stolen money meant for public good or development in this country or for public welfare, you can be taken to a court of law, charged this week, and next week you are sentenced to Miriam. Remember, we have a member of parliament from Sirisia, Major John Waruke. Today, he is a convicted criminal, economic crimes criminal, who is roaming around asking for a second term to continue stealing from the public of Sirisia and the Raja country at large. Miriam, a time has come for us to be able to empower the anti-corruption court in this country. A time has come for us to be able to empower our officials. And Miriam have said that in the fight against corruption, judiciary is the weak link between a prosperous country and a country that is corrupting, whose economy has been able to be captured by economic crimes criminals who are masquerading even today as presidents in waiting, governors in waiting, and senators in waiting. A time has come for us as a country to take the issue of corruption serious, because the issue of corruption is a pandemic by itself, media. I also believe from the bottom of my heart that every other Kenyan is looking for an opportunity to steal, because if you steal today, there's nothing that is going to be done to you. If you steal today, tomorrow you're going to be elected governor. Who doesn't want an easier life, Miriam? As young people, older people continue, patriotic citizens continue working hard, paying taxes, sleeping hungry, some without clean water, like we discussed earlier in the morning. Miriam, there are people who are waiting for an opportunity to steal in this country, and these people are not far away from where we are. We have corrupt people in our ministry, in our villages, in our cities, even in our political circles, Miriam. A time has come for us as a country to be able to put lifestyle audit in the constitution, such that you have to explain. If you buy a phone that is worth 100,000 and you earn a 20,000 salary or 20,000 shillings per month, you have to explain, where are you getting this money to buy these properties from, including the way we dress, including the way we live. Lifestyle audit has to come to become our way of life. If you build a huge hotel and you are a junior secretary in the Ministry of Devolution or Interior, you have to explain, Orange, where did you get this money to put up such structures, Miriam? The time has come for us as a country to stop crying that God has been able to bless us. God cannot bless you at the behest of others, where children cannot be able to go to school because you hate money that was supposed to build classrooms for them. You preferred or rooted money that was supposed to build them better rated classes that can be able to facilitate their running. And also, there are also people who are eating money that is meant, who are stealing money that is meant for school feeding programs. In our county, someone has stolen money that was meant for small children to be taking milk in schools, Miriam. Someone has taken food that was meant for cancer patients, Miriam. Someone has taken money that was meant for COVID-19 patients, Miriam. Lifestyle audit should become a way of life for the people of Kenya. It has to be entrenched in the constitution if we have to truly liberate our country economically and make it corruption-free. Thank you.
All right, very well. And I know we've steered clear of a lot of politics this morning, but there is something that happened yesterday, a story that I'd like for us to look at as our last news item this morning. Deputy President William Ruto has assured Nakuru County residents that there will be peace before, during and after the August 9th general elections. The UDA leader speaking after a meeting with residents called on Kenyans seeking seats to commit to peaceful campaigns. Njoro, Molo, Kuresoi and Elbagon residents who met the DP and other Kenya Kwanza leaders yesterday had expressed fears of a possible poll chaos in their areas ahead of elections. Ruto was accompanied by his running mate Rigathi Gachagua, National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi, Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika, Njoro Member of Parliament Charity Kathambi, Bahati's Kimani Ngunjiri, and Senate aspirant Tabitha Karanja. The media was locked out, which I think is something that I found to be very interesting. The media was locked out of the meeting that lasted more than 6 hours. Speaker after speaker at the event claimed they were living in fear as the ghost of previous poll chaos haunt them. The locals said they were hesitant to support Ruto, fearing they would not take care of their interest. First, I think the fact that the media was locked out, I think as a journalist, that bothered me. You know, as a journalist, you start asking a lot of questions in your head. And secondly, these fears that Kenyans from a section of this country still have about their safety around the elections at this point that we are as a country. One, do you feel these fears are legitimate? And two, what can the government do? Because I don't know how you hold such a meeting and you don't have the security apparatus of a government, because it's only the government that can respond to some of these queries as far as security is concerned, which these people are raising. So maybe the DP didn't find the need to bring in a government. Well, he is in the security committee, so maybe he knows what he was doing. But what can the government do to ensure these fears, if at all they're legit, that the government can ensure them that they are safe, as much as this meeting was held by Deputy President William Ruto? Douglas.
Thank you, Miriam. From my perspective and from the bottom of my heart, I feel for the Kenyan people that have gone out of their way to share their satisfaction about their security concerns and also their way of life that is going to be interrupted by elections. And Miriam, we said here over 2 years ago, 1 year ago, that we cannot be able to vote for you as a leader in this country because we want to secure the interest of our people in terms of peace. It is only the government that can guarantee the peace and safety and property of their people. As a leader, you should not take the responsibility of assuring people that you are going to make sure that you secure them, such that in the event that they are going to vote for you, are people in this country that are afraid that if they are not going to vote for a particular leader, their peace is not going to be guaranteed, their properties are not going to be safe. Miriam, a time has come for us as a country to embrace peace and security of our people. The government of the Republic of Kenya should do, number one, including in these political meetings, maybe the PS for Interior and Minister for Interior, the IG, and also the DCI himself should have accompanied the Deputy President in that meeting and give them the proper government position and also the National Intelligence Services and assure the people of Kenya, especially those that reside in Nakuru, that the government of the Republic of Kenya committed to the peace, so stability of that region. You cannot abrogate yourself the duty of assuring that the people of Kenya are going to be safe, secure, and also stable if they have to elect you as president, as governor, or as a senator. The responsibility of securing the lives of the people of Kenya belongs to the government of the day. There is a minister in charge. There is a PS for Interior that is in charge, and also there are departments of the government, the DCI, the NIS, which are charged with the responsibility of securing the lives of the people of Kenya and their properties. Miriam, if a politician calls for a meeting today, and that meeting does not include these officials from the government, it shows that, Miriam, there is a disconnect between our political ambitions and security of our people. You cannot guarantee that myself, Douglas Bunde Keremi, if I'm elected as governor of Meru or Tharaka Nithi or whatever place I come from, I'm going to assure those people of their safety, whereas myself, I rely on the same government to guard me. It is a fallacy that these people can call meeting without government security apparatus where they have worked for 10 years, without even telling the people of Kenya that I am working with the government, including people in opposition in other developing countries and also the West media. I've seen people say that when they get into power or during the electioneering period, they are going to work with government to assure that the lives of the people of Kenya will be safe. There is no place in this country a person should go on a political podium and assure the people of Kenya that I'm going to give you an opportunity to be secure if you vote for me. This narrative of this particular leader should be voted because they are going to guarantee you peace and stability should be able to be done away with. As a country, as a people, we need to also be cautious of such leaders because the peace and stability of this country will also be mattering after they have exited the stage. After 20, 30 years, there will be no William Ruto, there will be no Raila Odinga, there will be no Martha Karua, there will be no Uhuru Kenyatta. It will be a new breed of leaders that will be in charge in this country, and that peace does not belong to a particular set of leaders. If you do not involve the government that has the tools, that has everything at their disposal to deploy and also make sure that our people are secure, you are lying to the people of Kenya. Miriam, I believe also the government can also believe number two, deploy enough security apparatus to the regions that they have also been able to. I thank the government, they have been able to identify areas that have said to be elections hotspots, post-elections hotspots, security hotspots, that they can be able to deploy more security officials and maybe ask for enforcement if they have to. Because, Miriam, we cannot put the lives and property of the people of Kenya in the hands of particular leaders. If we have to do that, Miriam, as a country, we will have failed, the security apparatus will have failed the people that have put them into office. Miriam, there are people today who are employed. Their only job is to make sure that my life and property is safe. But there is no politician that has been elected to do the same. So I cannot elect a politician based on the same promise that he is going to assure me that my life and property will be safe. If I elect the governor of Tharaka Nithi Njoki today, he cannot assure me that my property and life will be safe. If I elect the Kareto Murungi of Meru, he cannot assure me the same. It can only be the department that is charged with that, the Ministry of the Interior and the National Police Service.
Mm-hmm.
And
Douglas,
Miriam,
why do you think the media was locked out from that meeting?
And I'm coming to the question of the media.
Because I want us to wrap
at the end of the day, if you are going... Yes. If you're going to lock out the media from a meeting and also and tell them that you're going to talk about serious matters, and you are a leader and you are a politician that aspires to become the president of the Republic of Kenya, What is it that you want to tell the people in secret? Miriam, there have been rumors before that people have been intimidated by including the leader that held the meeting in Nakuru and others. That if you vote for me, I'm the only guarantee to peace and stability. I also believe it had to do with the peace and security of those people, and especially the issues that they were raising in that meeting. I believe truly that probably it has something to do with the security and safety that should have been put on camera. That's my submission.
All right, thank you so much. And we wind up the show with some editorial cartoons, satire at its best. In some of the leading newspapers this morning, one from the, one from the Standard newspaper. I think that must be Wanjiku telling the IABC, now that the dust has settled, we would like to authenticate your degree certificate. All right, now there's some people perhaps have gotten away with questionable qualifications. So perhaps after they've been elected, there's still some Kenyans who might want to go to court and say, hey, we actually need your degree to be authenticated. So that is what we have as the cartoon editorial there on the Standard, and I think, and those of the entire IABC team. Okay, so we will have everybody else's certificate authenticated. And then on the Daily Nation and on the Star newspaper, they all have to do with coronavirus and the new measures that were announced yesterday. Fellow Kenyans, and we see Mutahi Kago with a huge mask there, and I think that is the revolving door. Kenyans are revolving, the mask is on the other side, and coronavirus is just up there, just trying to catch up with them. So wear your mask, sanitize, and make sure that you stay safe when you are outside there in public spaces. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for your time, Douglas Kirimi. This has been the extended version of Good Morning Africa. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Thank you for watching, and good morning.